Ladies and gentlemen, once again, we are live on KRC for the running of the Batman Begins 400 at the Michigan International Speedway. NASCAR 06 Do It For Dale Series for the Cup Series today, race number 15 on the regular season, which means we have just 11 races to go in the regular season following the conclusion of today's 400-mile, 200-lap race on this 2-mile tri-oval. Like and subscribe for more daily NASCAR content. Feel free to comment in the chat below throughout the course of tonight's stream as well as we get into tonight's live race commentary, NASCAR edition. Once again, coming into this race in the season, Dale Earnhardt Jr. sits fourth in the standings, 197 points out of first, but he's only just over 60 points out of second place in the standings, so he's got a good shot to move up with a good run today. No practice or qualifying in this race. We're just going to hop right on into it. Hopefully you guys enjoy, and let's get this one underway. Wade Selinsky, Billy Kramer, Regine Huddleston, and others welcome into the chat and into the stream. Dale Earnhardt Jr. from the rear trying to win his second straight race and trying to do it from the rear both times. He won at Pocono, starting last without practice and qualifying in the last one in a 50% race in which he led the most laps. Tony Stewart on the pole at the front of the field will lead the field into turns number 1 and 2 for the start of today's race. Truck Series race was wild. We had 7 cautions in a 100-lap event. We'll see what's going to happen here today. A lot of 2 and 3 wide racing towards the back of the pack right now. Jason Leffler going to pull a block on the 8 of Dale Earnhardt Jr. down towards turn 3. And we'll stack up on the bottom lane. Jr. had to get out of the gas to keep from running into the back of Leffler. That's going to hold him up quite a bit, I'd have to assume, through the tri-oval. Drafting is going to be of the utmost importance here today, as we'll be seeing speeds of well over 200 miles an hour into turn 1 throughout the course of today's action. 3x3 right in front of Dale Earnhardt Jr. Trying to get to the inside of Leffler, finally does off the exit of turn 2. Patrick Shadley, welcome into the stream as well. Jr. side drafted Leffler a little bit. Leffler's not giving Dale Earnhardt a lot of room on the inside. Middle of the corner, Leffler moved up just a little bit, and that allowed for Jr. to pull clear, and now drive to the inside of the 00 of Kenny Wallace as well. The 1 of Martin Truex Jr., virtue of team orders, is going to drop back just a little bit for Dale Jr. to try and make the pass towards turn 1. Aggressive side draft by Truex. I thought for a second there he was going to get into the 8. Oh! I thought somebody got in the wall up here because there's a big stack up on the back straightaway. I think Ryan Newman and Bobby Labonte got together off of turn 2, and Dale Jr. picks up about 5 positions on the back straightaway. And he'll get past Marlin through 3 and 4 on the inside, and he's already in the top 30. Contact with Newman. Newman gets a little sideways. He's going to stack the 8 car up, and Marlin's going to get right back around him on the outside. Through the tri-oval, 3 wide behind Dale Earnhardt Jr. Mike Bliss is there. Stewart has led the first 3 laps of the race from the pole so far. Big block by Newman. Presser Stall, welcome to the stream. Junior down on the apron off turn 4, trying to get underneath of Ryan Newman. Surprisingly, was actually gripped down there in the Truck Series race a few nights ago. Back on Friday night was when we ran the Truck Series race. Now more contact with the 18 of Bobby Labonte. That time he got into Jimmy Johnson on corner entry into turn 1. Gets around him and also gets to the inside of the 77 of Travis Quaffle as well. Dale Jr. to the outside of the 12 car of Ryan Newman into turns 3 and 4. Jr. not going to hold the outside that well. He's going to go way up the track, but so does the 77 of Quaffle, and he'll lose a spot to Jimmy Johnson. Jr. just gets to the bottom off turn 4 in front of Mike Bliss in the 0. And Newman again with a block through the tri-oval. Dale Jr. going to clear the 77 of Quaffle. Going to try to arc the corner off to get underneath the 12 of Newman this time, and does. Just found the channel. Well, thank you for tuning in. Hopefully you enjoy tonight's action on the channel. We know Michigan is action-packed on the restarts. Things will definitely spread apart here eventually as we get into the long green flag run. Everybody staying together through the first 6 laps despite a lot of lane changing going on because of the drafting effects down these very long straightaways at this 2-mile tri-oval. .200 miles an hour click that time into turn 1 for Dale Jr. before he started to get on the brakes a little bit to make it into the corner. Car's handling pretty well in the early going at least. And he's going to look to the outside of the 17 car of Matt Kenseth down the back straightaway. He is definitely there into turns 3 and 4. Junior didn't hold the outside very well earlier. Not going to there. This time he's in the wall in turns 1 and 2. And he is going to drop like a rock after not being able to hold on to the outside lane. And right back to 29th, unfortunately, for Earnhardt. That's the second time he's tried the outside. First time he kept it off the wall but went wide. That time he went wide but couldn't keep it off the wall. Composite bodies, won't have to worry about it. Maybe. Car got really tight again into turn 3. Maybe he's got just enough damage on the right side of the car that could affect him more than what I thought it was going to. I didn't think he hit the wall that hard. But I guess on a very fast racetrack like Michigan, when you're so aerodynamically dependent, definitely play a little bit bigger effect. Brendan Littlejohn, welcome to the stream. Going to Road America this weekend. Awesome, man. Enjoy the races. I was there last year. It's a beautiful place, and be prepared to walk a lot. Be prepared to make it up the hill if you go in the infield at all this weekend. Contact with Jimmy Johnson, and they get hooked together, both him and Dale Jr. They couldn't get off of one another. Junior's tight down in turns 3 and 4 right now. He's going to get around Jimmy Johnson through turns 1 and 2 this time. And Johnson's in the wall off turn 2. I am playing on a PS2. And Dale Jr. super tight in turns 3 and 4. Down to 150 miles an hour in the middle of the corner just to try and get the car to turn. He's gotten into the outside wall in turns 3 and 4 twice now, and you wouldn't think that that would be enough to upset the handling so much. But it really is. Junior is handling perfectly fine before that. Junior right back to 32nd place. It's weird because in turns 1 and 2, he's perfectly fine. Trying to back up turns 3 and 4 a little bit better this time. He's just not able to get that car to roll down to the bottom of the racetrack. It's only going to be worse as he catches the traffic in front of him, you'd have to imagine. Definitely get to the bottom in turns 1 and 2. Hooking the white line. Gonna have to take some wedge out of the race car when they get to that first stop of the day on this number 18. Try to help in turns 3 and 4 as much as possible. Wasn't as drastic that time. Even though he was closing in on the cars in front of him, he's going to drive underneath the 44 of Terry Labonte, and he'll clear him for position and also get to the inside of the 41 of Casey Mears. So I think turns 1 and 2 is going to be the passing corner on the racetrack for Dale Jr., at least for this opening run. Because turns 3 and 4, he's just a little too tight. 1 and 2, he's still handling pretty good for the most part. I'd say near perfect at that end of the racetrack. He's on the inside of Marlin into turn 3. He's going to try not to make contact with him. He's way out of the gas. He actually held on to it that time, so he backed it up a little bit more in the center of the corner, and that worked out for him. He'll clear Marlin off turn 4. Dale Jr. trying to get back into it again. Drafting off the 49 of Kenny Schrader through the tri-oval. That gets him to 27th. Rides behind Schrader into turn 1. He'll continue to share draft with the 49 of Kenny Schrader. On the back straightaway towards turn 3, a lot of speed for Dale Jr. getting into the corner, desperately trying to pin that car to the bottom of the track. And he gets underneath the 49 of Schrader. That's Schwann's car. Quaffle making an aggressive move, trying to get around the 18 car of Bobby Labonte on the inside into turns 1 and 2. Not going to be able to do so. Labonte to the inside of Nemechek, and Junior to the inside of Quaffle. Pins him behind Joe Nemechek. Oh, contact. Labonte and Jarrett get together. That's the third car Bobby Labonte's gotten into off of turn 2 today. Junior's on the outside into turns 3 and 4. Hasn't been good on the outside today. Hanging on to it as much as he can right now. Has a run, looking low. Gets to the inside of the 18. Potentially, should say got to the inside of the 88. Little loose down on the apron in turns 1 and 2. It sticks a lot better in 3 and 4, I'd say. For Dale Jr. and both Quaffle and Nemechek going to get back around him on the outside again. Junior's getting a little bit better through turns 3 and 4. Ace of Spades, welcome to the stream. A lot of jockeying for position going on right now. Nemechek hanging on the right rear corner panel of Dale Jr. towards turn 1. Jr. up the hill. He got back at the gas really soon that time, just trying to make sure he cleared the 0-1 car and did. .196, and he struggled to get the car to turn in turn 3 again that time. Nemechek Quaffle get right back around him. Down on the apron into 1 and 2, a little loose that time. He got squeezed as there were 3 wide on corner entry. Quaffle was forcing Dale Jr. down pretty low. Jr. didn't want to make contact with him in the middle of the corner. And Marlin ducks to the inside of Dale Jr. that time. Jr. didn't get overly tight on entry into 3 that time like he has other points already in this race today. Run off the high side though, and through the tri-oval he'll be able to pull back clear of the 40 of Marlin. I would expect on fuel we can go right around 50 laps, so it could be a fuel mileage race today depending on how cautions play out. We haven't had a caution-free cup race. That is definitely going to be something to keep an eye on and watch today. Junior a lot better through 3 and 4 this time. He's going to carry a lot of speed off the exit of the corner. May get to the outside of the 0-1. And Nemechek, nope, not quite. He's going to cross him over now down to the bottom instead. He's going to go all the way to the apron now. Desperately trying to get to the inside of the 0-1, but that's not going to work either. Junior backing up the corner. It's going to allow for him to get to the inside of the 77 of Quaffle, and now to the inside of Joe Nemechek in the 0-1 as well. Trying to share draft behind the 31 of Jeff Burton. Massive run for Dale Jr. through the tri-oval. And he'll follow Burton to the inside of the 43 of Jeff Green into turns 1 and 2. Risky move for Earnhardt. Went up the hill just a little bit. Contact with Jeff Burton. Still on the inside of the 31 car towards turn 3. Stays low, and he'll clear him off turn 4. Gonna throw a block on Burton now as well through the tri-oval. Tony Stewart's led the first 21 laps of today's race at Michigan, and the Batman begins 400. Carl Edwards has now just taken the lead into turns 3 and 4. And this will be the first lap Stewart has not led today. Big run in the draft for Dale Jr. Michael Waltrip, his teammate, stuck on the outside a little bit further up ahead. Jimmy Spencer, the 50 car in 20th, right in front of Dale Jr. right now. Jr. to the inside in turns 3 and 4. Hooks the white line perfectly. Definitely inconsistent at that end of the racetrack compared to turns 1 and 2, but he'll make the pass on Spencer cleanly at that. Waltrip stuck between Bobby Labonte and Dale Jarrett, who have both gained quite a few positions from the start of the race, as well as Dale Jr., who started dead last. Jr. really trying to point that car into turn 3 and backing up the corner as much as he can. Trying to get the car to turn towards the bottom. Dale Jr. to the inside of Michael Waltrip. Oh, he got into him. Contact between the 15 and the 8. Don't like seeing that between teammates. Jr. slid up the track just a little bit. Didn't in turns 3 and 4 though, and it will drive right around Dale Jarrett in the 88. It's going to move Jr. to 18th. Already passed over half the field. Greg Biffle has now led that last lap. 5 bonus points for him. Jarrett couldn't quite get to the inside of Dale Jr. that time. Jarrett, I think, got into the wall as well. Lap 26 right now, and Dale Earnhardt Jr. is halfway on fuel, so he should be able to make it to lap 50. Could potentially be a 3 pit stop race today, and those who can make it on 3 stops are likely going to have the best shot of winning this race. And of course, the more you're in the draft, the more of a chance you have of being able to save fuel versus if you're out in front with no drafting help. Maybe part of why Tony Stewart's lost the lead. Maybe he did that intentionally. Dale Jr. with a really low exit to turn 2. Oh, man. He was going up as Brian Vickers was coming down to, I believe, get to the inside of Bobby Labonte. They made contact on the back straightaway. Pass made for Dale Jr. regardless. Jr. easily gets around Bobby Labonte through turns 1 and 2 as well. Edwards back in the lead, taking it away from Biffle as they've been trading the lead back and forth over the last few laps. Jr. got a little bit wide that time in the middle of turns 3 and 4, but didn't give up the bottom for long enough for Bobby Labonte to get underneath him. Side by side in front of Dale Jr., Matt Kenseth. Inside of another race car. I can't tell if that's Scott Riggs or Mark Martin. One of the two. And it is Martin in the 6. Jr. clears him for 15th. Kenseth's going to look low. Bliss with the block. Mike Bliss has come from deep in the field as well. He's got 9 top 10 finishes coming into the race. He's 11th in the point standings as Bliss, just outside the cutoff line to make it into the chase. Junior down to the apron through the tri-oval, trying to break whatever side draft from anybody who was outside of him. He wasn't quite on the inside of Bliss yet anyway. Now he'll get inside of him into turns 1 and 2. Kenseth with a block. At least he was clear with it. Dale Earnhardt Jr. with a run. He doesn't want to be on the outside, so he's going to quickly get to the bottom. And he backed out of the gas to be able to do so as well, which helped him back up the middle of 3 and 4. Gets around McMurray in the 42, gets to the inside of Kenseth in the 17. And he's going to draft behind the 5 car of Kyle Busch through the tri-oval. Trying to build up another big surge of momentum, but can't get to the inside of Busch into turns 1 and 2. Busch is going to be able to clear Harvick off of turn 2 for 10th. And Junior to 11th. 3 wide, up ahead for about 7th place. Into turns 3 and 4. Junior tight in turns 3 and 4. He goes up the hill. So does Busch. Oh, Kenseth slides a little bit wide. I think he got tight. Not giving Dale Jr. a lot of room. Junior trying to find his way back to the bottom. I don't think he's going to be able to do it this time. Kenseth's still there. First time he's been on the outside in turns 1 and 2 today. He actually held it really well at that end of the track. Harvick with a slide job on the 5 of Busch. Earnhardt gets loose off turn 2. Keeps it off Kenseth, who's underneath him. He side drafts him on the back straightaway, and he's going to let Kenseth go into turn 3. Did not want to be on the outside going into this corner. It's been the trouble corner for Dale Jr. early on, at least with his handling. Been a little tight. Mark DeMars, welcome into the stream. Billy, hopefully you can keep your win streak alive. Great corner for Junior. Quickly closes on the back of Kevin Harvick. Wow, Junior's really driving it hard. He's been tight in turns 3 and 4, so it's odd to see the rear tires slide like that. Getting into turn 3. He's going to get around the 5 car, though. Kyle Busch, 3 wide to the bottom in 1 and 2. Oh, Busch went really, really wide as he got tight. He'll lose a spot to Labonte. Harvick slides clear of Kenseth. Kenseth and Dale Jr. run side by side on the back straightaway. Into turns 3 and 4. Junior's car starting to wiggle around a little bit more. Rod G, welcome to the stream. I hit halfway on fuel at lap 26 off of turn 2. So we're pacing to get to lap 50. I'm not going to push it any further than that. Helps we've been in traffic the whole time after starting last with no qualifying or practice. So there's been a lot of draft for Dale Jr. to be able to save a little bit of extra gas. Kenseth goes a bit wide in 3 and 4. Dale Jr. looking to pass him. And he is not clear yet. Trying to share draft behind the 29 of Kevin Harvick. Harvick also looking to the inside of one of the Evernham Dodges in front of him. Wow, Junior got a little bit arrow loose that time in turns 1 and 2. And I think that was with Matt Kenseth just simply running pretty close behind him. Oh boy, contact between the 18 and the 5, Kyle Busch and Labonte, and then they ended up getting into Dale Jr. as well. Any lightning warning yet? No. No, weather's going to be clear for this Michigan race today. Junior trying to get back into this thing. 6.5 seconds off the race lead after that moment he had a couple laps ago off turn 2. It's amazing how much the car has loosened up. It was really tight in turns 3 and 4. And it has loosened up in a hurry. And originally Dale Jr. was going to make a wedge adjustment. Now I don't think that they will. I think it might be a little too risky. Dropping the wedge, knowing that the car is going to get this loose late in the run. You don't want to tighten it up either because it's already tight at the beginning of the run as it is. Low on fuel at lap 39 for Dale Earnhardt Jr. Yep, Edwards leads now. It's been a revolving door of a battle for the lead between Tony Stewart, Greg Biffle, and Carl Edwards at the start of today's race. Without any drafting help for Dale Jr. right now, he's losing time on the leaders. He's 6.9 seconds, maybe 6.8 seconds off the lead roughly. It was 6.5 just a few laps ago. About a tenth or two slower lap than the leaders this juncture of the run. Stuck in the 12th place position. Hasn't gotten to the top 10 yet today. He's been close. Trying to hold the wheel as straight as he can off the exit of the corners with the loose conditions. He did use his tires up quite a bit trying to get through the field in the first place, so that's definitely been some of the issue for Dale Jr. I'd have to imagine. We're going to take our first field pass of the race when we get to the start-finish line this time by. Right rear is wearing out on Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s number 8 Chevrolet. Biffle back out in front into turns 3 and 4. It's definitely as fanned out as the field has been so far. It's spread out in the early going of the race. Take a field pass, and we'll see what Martin Truex Jr. in the 1 car is doing as of right now. Way at the back of the field is Truex, and 39th is the 1 car. Drives to the inside of Kyle Petty. And John Andretti into turns 1 and 2 will make the pass for 37th. Martin Truex Jr. at the back of the pack right now. He's got a big run on Terry Labonte. And Truex is still only halfway on fuel right now. He is saving quite a bit of gas, really, at the back of the pack, which is interesting. Transfer to Michael Waltrip next, and we'll see how he's doing on fuel. $10 likes on the stream right now. Our goal is going to be 30 for tonight's live stream. I do think we can get there. Not even a quarter of the way home yet. Already a third of the way to our goal on likes. 2 more laps and we'll transfer to Michael Waltrip in the 15 for DEI. Waltrip only has 1 top 10 finish coming into today's race. Truex is gaining some positions. Definitely blowing around the cars at the back of the field, which makes me wonder why he's back here. And I think it was just because he was saving fuel more than anything else. Gets to the outside of Kenny Schrader in the 49 car. Swings down to the bottom. I have to say, the 1 car's handling really well. He's up to 32nd. Managing his tires really well. this late in the run as well. Trucks needs a solid points day, 17th in the standings coming into the race today. Off turn 4, looking really low, down towards the apron. Going to get around his teammate Michael Waltrip and up to 29th. And now we'll switch to Michael Waltrip in the 15 car, right behind Truex. Oh, contact with Truex. There's some smoke pouring out of the back of the 1 car right now. It looked like it, at least. Maybe my eyes are deceiving me. Waltrip saving quite a bit of fuel, and the leaders are pitting at the front of the field right now. Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s in very early at that. 4-tire stop for the 8 car. But he is definitely one of the first cars in the pits. Like, Waltrip's going to be able to go quite a ways yet on fuel. It's the Monkey 92 Hammer. Welcome to the stream. Again, we're getting to our first pit stops of the race as we've been caution-free so far today at Michigan. Dale Earnhardt Jr. is already in the pits. He was one of the first set of drivers that came in at lap 45. Coming to lap 46. We're in our field pass for the first time today as of right now. Already went with Martin Truex Jr. a handful of laps. Going to go with Waltrip for a couple more. I'm going to take the 15 car to lap 50. But he's definitely going to be able to stay out on the racetrack for quite a long time. And with all these drivers pitting right now, that could play dividends later in this race as long as the 15 and the 1 could stay on the lead lap. Even though they were both outside the top 20. Actually running 29th and 30 as of moments before the stop started. Black Ace, welcome to the stream. Quarter tank of gas left for Waltrip now. I mean, he might be able to go 60 laps on fuel. That's insane at Michigan. Tony Stewart, who's led the most laps so far in the race today, is still out on the track as well. Waltrip 16 seconds behind Stewart. That is very true, Ice Monkey. We'll go back to Dale Earnhardt Jr. this time by. Jr. is not going to be able to make it on fuel on 3 stops, pitting at lap 46. So he is going to need a caution at some point in time in today's race. And we'll ride with Dale Jr. now, who is a lap down after already making a stop. Back in the 31st position. Tony Stewart got a pit from the lead at lap 50. Squeezed into turn 3 was Dale Jr. that time. That's because Jeff Burton wanted to get to pit road. Michael Waltrip, Martin Truex Jr. are in at lap 50 as well. So Dale Jr. back on the lead lap. He's not going to get trapped a lap down with a caution in the middle of green flag pit stops as the last of the leaders are on pit road. Fuel mileage race at Michigan if this goes caution free to the end. Big set of passes there for position for Dale Jr. took off like a rocket ship through turns 3 and 4 that time. Greg Biffle's going to cycle to the lead following green flag pit stops. A lot of cars on the bottom still trying to get up to speed that Dale Jr. is currently getting around. He was in 12th place when we left off with him and when he had hit pit road, and he must have had a very slow pit stop because he is going to be well outside of 12th place when everything cycles through. It looks like he is going to be in 22nd as he works to the inside of Jimmy Johnson, who he made contact with earlier and makes contact with again that time. Got to be careful not to cause a caution of his own at all in today's race. Needs a natural yellow for him to be able to actually pit for fuel and tires. Again, he's just so tight in turns 3 and 4 until very late in the tire stint. Then he starts to get loose. Oh, jeez. Exhibit A. Haven't really been that tight in turns 1 and 2, though. Probably just got back at the gas a bit too soon. Only met Ward Burton when he was in the MBNA car. You were only 3. There's no way you said that when you were 3 years old. Said thank you in the... You mean he said thank you, or... Wow, 3 wide. Junior's gonna take him 4. That wasn't gonna work. Smart move. That didn't work in the truck race at Nashville the other day. I didn't think it was gonna work there. These high-rated speeds at Michigan. Restart when you're getting up to speed is one thing. Oh, Martin with a terrible block on Dale Jr. and Jr. passes him. And Martin ended up in the wall going into turn 1 as well. I guess if you were 3 years old, though, you might have done that without even recognizing it was him that talked like that. I don't know. Or without realizing what you were doing, maybe. Strange that Jr. is one of the first cars on pit road and still lost 10 spots during green flag pit stops. To be 12.5 seconds off the lead when he was about 7 seconds off the lead. Racing's your first love, you and me both. It is a funny story to tell. Dale Jr. is really going to want to stretch this fuel tank out as long as he can if he's going to want to make this race on just 2 more stops to the end. He's obviously not going to be able to make it to lap 100 this time. Unless there's a couple cautions, of course. That is able to help him save a little bit of fuel. A lot of a calmer race compared to the truck race. At least in the early going yet. Today's 400-mile event at Michigan. Great corner for Dale Jr. through turns 3 and 4. He was 12.5 seconds off the lead. Now he is less than that off the lead. Oh, Quaffle just stuffed the 8 car in the wall. What was that all about? That was an ally nonetheless. That was not a rival. I don't think Dale Jr. is too happy with Travis Quaffle after that move. Tried to intimidate him. Gonna build the momentum up to the inside. Maybe just a rookie mistake from Quaffle. Oh, he's just being aggressive. See, he's blocking all the way to the bottom now as well. Dale Jarrett to the inside of Jamie McMurray in the 42. Dale Jr. is going to get into Quaffle, moving him up out of the way and say, no, this is my spot. I got alongside of you once, and I'm going to do it aggressively this time. Into turns 3 and 4. Jr. to the inside of Dale Jarrett, Jamie McMurray. Passes them both through turns 3 and 4 and is back inside the top 15, clear of Jarrett and the tri-oval. Most of the drivers in this game retired from Cup. Yeah, I know. And this game is only, well, I guess it's 17 years old. I mean, I'm trying to think of the only drivers in this game, even though this is from 2005, that are still in the Cup Series today, and that'd be Kevin Harvick, Kyle Busch, because he's a rookie in this game, Kurt Busch, and there's got to be more than that. I don't know. Newman just retired last year. That's interesting. I'd have to think about it a little more and think about the driver lineup. We're a little tight into turns 3 and 4. A lot of battling for position going on right now. Jarrett slides up, not clear of the 42. He's going to clear Jarrett off turn 2. Jarrett's going to cross over the 88. Junior's going to be on the outside in turn 3. He had to lift quite a bit just to keep it off the wall. Car went right up the hill. Trying to make more allies, it's easier. And this is true, but Travis Quaffle, he was an ally and just stuffed me in the wall on the front stretch for whatever reason. Had to have known I was there, because I was there long before he had moved up. Probably just them 3. Yeah, because the other drivers I'm thinking of aren't in the Cup Series yet. Like Denny Hamlin's in the Busch Series in this game. Dale Jr. underneath the 88 of Dale Jarrett. A couple of DJs running 1-2. Or side by side, I should say. Not 1-2. They're 16th and 17th right now. Jarrett's going to get around him, and Dale Jr. is going to get around Jarrett. And he's just going to draft behind the 42 of Casey Mears for right now. He's not going to look to pass him anymore, trying to pick up a little bit of time, because I don't think he's going to pull away from these guys on his own. And now he's tightening the wall in turns 1 and 2. Just going to drop him back of the 42 of McMurray just a little bit. Your rival was sturdy, tried to wreck you. Yeah, I know those those days. We've had our fair share of instances like that this season already between all three series. Been a couple, almost 20 years. Yeah, Kurt Busch, he was a rookie in 2000. I do believe, or no, not 2000. Well, he ran part-time in 2000, but his first full-time rookie season, I believe, was 01. So I know he was in the 2001 Daytona 500. Kevin Harvick was a rookie in 01. Hamlin's been a couple, almost 20 years. Well, he's a rookie in 06. About 16 years. He just started a little older because he's in his early 40s right now. Oh, Martin Truex Jr. is in this game. That's another one. He's a rookie in the Cup Series in this game. So that's four. Four drivers who are in the Cup Series today that are in this game, and two of them are rookies. Dale Jr. just sitting behind the 42 of Jamie McMurray, drafting with one another as they try to get closer to the front of the field. 16 of Greg Biffle is going to be working with some lap traffic here before long. We'll share draft now for Dale Jr. to the back of the 42 of Mears on the back straightaway. Oh, well, he's in the Busch Series too. I was going to say J.J. Yaley still runs part-time in the Cup Series for Rick Ware Racing. But he's in the Busch Series in this game. He's not in the Cup Series yet. Not looking to pass the 42 car. He's definitely able to save some fuel in the draft as well. Something he's going to need to do if he's going to want a shot to win this race today. And rides right in line behind McMurray for Chip Ganassi Racing. He had 10 years with this organization. Started and ended his career there. Yeah, Yaley was with Gibbs at the time. In the Busch Series, he'd make his first Cup Series starts this season in real life, but he isn't in this game. No, Hamlin won a couple times his rookie year, both at Pocono. So halfway on fuel, lap 72, about to make it to lap 73 this time for Dale Jr. He's not pacing well to be able to make it on 3 stops today. But he's not the only one in that similar circumstance. Still in a desperate fight for track position as well. Contact with McMurray. Jr. tried to squeeze underneath him. Yeah, that's true. Daytona in the Bud Shootout he also won. That's right. That was technically before he made his first Cup start. Because that was a non-points race. Well, I guess he would have made a couple starts the season before. Because he would have had to have been a pole sitter to get into that. So Dale Jr. was 12.5 seconds off the lead when he cycled off of pit road. He's just over 9.5 seconds off the lead as they run right now. So he's definitely picked up a little bit of time. He was also in 22nd and is up to 15th. Slowly but surely gaining his way through the field. Tony Stewart has continuously led a large portion of tonight's race. You're getting a little tight through turns 3 and 4. Just not quite close enough to be able to draft off of the 5 of Kyle Busch, who's the next car in front of him. Close, but not quite there yet. Have to get to the bottom early that time through 1 and 2 to keep McMurray behind him. Kyle Busch moves ahead of Ricky Rudd in the 21 car. Dale Jr. right in line behind both of them. Dale Jr. up a spot, getting around Rudd. Kyle Busch on the inside of Bobby Labonte. In the 18 car, Dale Jr. going to follow through underneath Labonte. A little contact with the 18. Still clears him. I feel like everyone's going to be pitting between lap 185 and 195. That's very possible. So you're thinking everybody's going to end up having to make 4 stops. Dale Jr. can't quite get to the inside of Kyle Busch yet. Now he does off turn 2. 3 wide down the back straightaway. Busch is going to be able to hold clear of both Mike Bliss and Dale Jr. into turns 3 and 4. Oh, contact between the 0 and the 8. Whoops. And Labonte gets around Bliss as well. Junior up to block Labonte in the tri-oval. He did not get off turn 4 very well after that contact with Bliss in the middle of the corner. Junior's picked up about 4 seconds during this run, even with no adjustment changes. In that essence, everything's going good for him during this run. Still waiting to see if we get a caution today. Try to even this playing field out a little bit more again. Busch with a big block to stay in front of Earnhardt off the exit of turn 2. He was clear, though. Guess if you're going to make a block like that, you better be clear, and Kyle Busch was. Defensive line, Mike Bliss going to get to the inside of Dale Jr. off the exit of turn 4. Jr. keeps enough momentum up in the draft behind Busch and Harvick that he's going to be able to hold clear of Bliss through the tri-oval. Into turns 1 and 2. Oh, Harvick and Busch nearly making contact with one another. Dale Jr. looks to the inside. Got into Busch just a little bit. We'll take our second and final field pass of the first half of today's race, and we'll go see what Martin Truex Jr. in the 1 car is up to first. And Truex is in 25th as of right now. Truex hasn't even hit halfway on fuel yet. After pitting at lap 80 or lap 50. Picked up a spot on the 43 car of Jeff Green. Continuously saving fuel during these runs as he's trying to make this race on one last stop. We'll get to the outside of the 25 of Brian Vickers into turns 3 and 4 as well. Junior to the outside of the 40 of Marlin as well. Off the exit of turn 4. Swings to the inside underneath Mark Martin in the 6. Truex is up to 21st and is gaining ground. In a hurry at that. It's 19 seconds off the lead from Stewart. Truex at JGR in the 19 next year, yep. Signed an extension earlier in the week, or well, earlier last week. It is crazy, the drafting and just how much slower Truex is, so he's not burning through as much fuel. The same went for Michael Waltrip the last time we took the field pass. We saw where he was at on fuel. Truex should be able to gain 3 more positions to 18th before we swap to Michael Waltrip. And a couple of laps. He is almost a second a lap faster than Stewart right now since we started driving as him, because of how well he's managed the tires. This car is definitely not as edgy as Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s. That could be another reason, though, why he is not quite as fast. Although I just think he could be if he was pushing hard enough. He's trying to save his stuff midway through the race, so pretty wise of a rookie to be doing that. Going way to the bottom. He's got the grip to do it, though. I'm telling you, this car is handling well. It is bad fast. Gonna throw a block on Quaffle in the tri-oval, and Truex is up to 18th. We'll go to Michael Waltrip in the 15 car now, who is even further back behind Truex, and he is all the way in the 31st place position. So he is even worse off, position-wise. But again, likely in a similar fuel situation as Martin Truex Jr. in the 1 car. Even if they make it, though, on one last stop, they're going to have to keep a pace up that is fast enough that they could stay on the lead lap if this race does go caution-free for them to have a shot to actually win. Waltrip blowing around the cars at second half and the back half of the field. We'll hope Dale Jr.'s not falling back. If he is, maybe he's saving a little bit of fuel. Like the 15 in the 1 car have been. Still caution-free today, though, at the Michigan International Speedway. 2 more laps with Waltrip, and then we'll run with Dale Jr. for the rest of tonight's race. Big run into turn 1 for Waltrip to get in underneath the 9 of Casey Candy. Overdrove the corner. A little flat entering in, and luckily didn't wipe each other out. Definitely a close call. Michael Waltrip's got a rival of the 43 car, Jeff Green, in front of him next. See if he can get around in this lap. He's going to pull in the draft behind Green. He's going to go towards the bottom. Jeff Green is going to try to take a swing at Waltrip. He hits. Oh my goodness, up and over goes the 15 car. Jeff Green has flipped over Michael Waltrip in the tri-oval. That looked like Austin Dillon's wreck at Michigan last year. I'm not going to lie. That was like carbon copy. He gets slammed by Jeff Burton. That's the first caution of the race. And that's going to be interesting on strategy. My goodness. What a ride for the 15. That did not work out for him. And he is going to have to hit pit road with some severe damage. And we'll see how many of the rest of the field is going to pit right now. Looks like everybody's going to stay out. Except for Waltrip. He has to come down. Can't take fuel or tires being involved in the accident. 3.9 seconds of damage. I'm surprised there isn't more. This is why I never switched to Waltrip. He was trying to pass the 43 of Jeff Green. Green ran him down in the tri-oval, and then just turned him. And head on into the wall. But that looked like Austin Dillon's wreck when he got turned off of Keselowski's front bumper at Michigan last season. That was almost identical. Only Walter actually flipped and Dillon got up on his side. Green flag back in the air. Walter back to 37th. There's actually quite a few cars out of the race right now. Well, actually, no, never mind. There's some cars that are lapped down towards the front of the field. This is going to help everybody save a little bit of gas. Lap 95 on the restart. As we are back to green flag racing, we will go with Dale Jr. starting next lap. As the field is getting up to speed through turns 1 and 2. And Waltrip was slow before. He's probably going to be really slow now. So again, everybody was saving fuel during the caution period. Waltrip's extremely tight now. He's even tighter than what Dale Jr. was. And now we have cars entering towards pit road. So about 4 cars have just hit the pits that time. We're going to transfer back to Dale Earnhardt Jr. a little bit further towards the front of the field. Right now, Junior's in 10th. On the outside of Jamie McMurray in the 42. He's getting loose. Really loose was Earnhardt. Oh, and Johnson just drove right into the side of him and nearly turned the 8 car. Junior throwing a block on him now. That slowed the 8 up quite a bit. Three wide is Dale Jr. with Truex and Harvick underneath him. Look at the 1 car. Rocketing forward towards the front of the field. 3 wide on the outside into turn 1 was Dale Jr. Slides down towards the bottom now with a big time crossover. Underneath the 0-1 of Nemechek, who makes contact with the 88 up high. I love boobies. Welcome to the stream. Junior gonna pit this time. Oh boy. On his way in. He did save a little bit of fuel. It'll be 4 tires and a full tank. And they're gonna take the round of wedge out of the race car right now. They're gonna also drop the air pressure 2 pounds. So major adjustments on the 8 of Dale Earnhardt Jr. as he'll make his next stop at lap 97. He was able to save a few laps of fuel during the caution flag period. But he is on pit road now, a few laps after the restart. Another caution or 2, he may be able to make it to the end on 1 more stop. Fuel mileage race today at Michigan, pretty much from the get-go. It was a clean 4-tire stop for the 8 crew. He got onto pit road pretty well. He's going to go lap down. And now you just got to hope you stay green long enough for everybody to cycle through. Hopefully the wedge adjustment should loosen the car up on the short run at least. But then again, they went with an air pressure adjustment dropping to 2 pounds as well, so I'm not sure how that might counteract it. He came out of the pits at lap 98. If he could try to go 51 and 52 laps in these last 2 runs, if he could stretch it 1 lap further and 2 laps further, he has a shot to make it on fuel to the end of this race. And then from that point, you also got to hope that you can get to the front of the field to put yourself in position to win as well, which so far Dale Jr. has only been as high as 10th in the running order today. By pitting before some of the leaders and him having fresh tires right now, I'd have to imagine he's gaining a little bit of time on those guys. With the caution coming out, it definitely bunched the field back together a little bit more. I love boobies. Welcome to the stream. Talk about the ones that make honey. That's how he spelled it, at least. This is not gonna look great going down into turn 3. Nope. 3 wide was not gonna work in the middle for Dale Jr. There's a lap card coming out of the pit lane on the bottom, and he ended up sliding up into the 49 of Schrader outside. Ton of cars in front of Dale Jr. right now. Jr.'s going to be able to clear the car on the bottom this time, who's coming out of the pit lane. Flatlined it into turn 3. Truex is on his way in at lap 101. Waltrip's still out on the racetrack. Some of these guys are pacing really, really well to make it on fuel on 3 stops. Yeah, time for the trivia question. I'm going to have to look it up. I'm waiting for a good time to pause it because I don't think now is the time in heavy traffic. So get 4 wide off of turn 2. The lap car on the bottom trying to get up to speed. Junior going down to pick up a little bit of the draft off of Nemechek. Doesn't want to be 3 wide middle again going into turns 3 and 4 that time. Backed out of it. Still got a little tight. Really hope Dale Jr. is not going to be too loose later in this run with the wedge adjustment. Jr. on the inside of the 22 car. Scott Wimmer on the back straightaway, 3 wide with the 145 car on the outside of him. That white line perfectly through 3 and 4. Oh, well, he got a little below it. Contact with Wimmer. Seth Thomas, welcome to the stream. Alright, I'll pause it now and look up a trivia question for you guys. Alright, let's see here. Look up a Michigan track fact on Racing Reference. So we are just past the halfway point in tonight's race. Alrighty. Alright, I think somebody will get this trivia question eventually. But after some quick researching, I have found the trivia question for tonight, Michigan Track Fact. So, tonight's trivia question on the channel is, with Kyle Larson and Kevin Harvick being the last two drivers to win 3 straight Michigan Cup races, who is the last and only driver in NASCAR history to win 4 straight Michigan Cup races? That's tonight's trivia question. Who is the only driver in NASCAR history to win 4 straight Michigan Cup races? And you guys will have until lap 115 to get the answer to tonight's question. Michael Waltrip in the lead right now after flipping, staying out of the pits longer than everybody else to get 5 bonus points. Dale Jr. dives underneath Boris Said, makes a clean pass through 3 and 4. It is not Jimmy Johnson, not Clint Boyer. Boyer only had 1 win at Michigan in his career, not Mark Martin. Jimmy Johnson never really had much luck at the track. He only won there 1 time. Not Jeff Gordon, not Greg Biffle. Not Dale Jarrett. And not Johnson. Derek Booth, welcome to the stream. Down towards the apron, off the exit of turn 4 went Earnhardt. Cut his momentum down a little bit. Not Bobby Allison. Not Harvick, not Dale Sr. Not John Cena. Not Bobby Labonte. Jr. getting squeezed by the 43 of Jeff Green. Green already flipped over Michael Waltrip in the middle of the tri-oval. Wonder how aggressively he's going to race the rest of the DEI cars. Because right now he's racing them super aggressively. Saw some sparks flying up ahead. Somebody may have made a little bit of contact off turn 2. Jacob Gibbons, welcome to the stream. Not Terry Labonte, not Ernie Irvin. Not Jeff Burton. Got to be someone old. Not Richard Petty. Junior way to the bottom. Looking for a way around Jeff Green. Green has been just absolutely racing the heck out of the DEI cars tonight. Stays in front of Junior as he got off of turn 2 a little bit better than him. Make the pass on Joe Nemechek for position. Michael Turner has gotten tonight's trivia question correct. Bill Elliott is the answer. Junior's just going to bump draft Green through the tri-oval. That's one way to get around him. Bump draft him and launch him into turn 1 faster than he wanted to go, and Dale Jr. is going to clear him. So Bill Elliott is the answer to tonight's trivia question. He is the only driver in Cup Series history to win 4 straight Michigan races. Michael Waltrip still on the track and has not hit pit road. This means Dale Jr. is still a lap down. Everyone looked it up. It's possible. I ask that you guys don't do that, but I can't really prevent you from doing it. Yeah, Bill Elliott in the 80s. Any of the fast 2-mile plus ovals he was really good at in the 80s. It's such great engines. That number 9 team. That's why he's so fast at Daytona and Talladega. Set the track records there, but won frequently there in the 80s. Same goes for Michigan. Pocono he won a lot at in the 80s. Tracks where it was all about engine power, that team was the team to beat. So you're trying to go up the track side, draft Jimmy Johnson a little bit. Martin Truex Jr., Michael Waltrip just in front of Dale Jr. So you're going to follow Jamie McMurray. Waltrip's going to drop back. McMurray with a little bit of a block on Dale Jr. McMurray's going to go up the track, though. Turns 1 and 2. Waltrip is going to go up the middle, 3 wide. And Jr.'s going to clear both Jamie McMurray and Michael Waltrip with a 3 wide pass on the bottom, and he's back to 15th. And Waltrip, again, is the leader. He has not hit pit road yet for his second time. And now he'll pit. So finally, Waltrip will give up the lead. He made it to lap 113 on fuel. Definitely can make it on one more stop. The Coors Thunderbird, yep. No way that's a dominant car. You talk about Waltrip? No, it's not. He just stayed out longer than everybody else. He's slow after the damage. And staying out on older tires, he was basically just hoping that a caution was going to come out so he could trap a large portion of the field a lap down, but it never happened. And Greg Biffle will be back in the lead this time by at lap 115. 85 laps to go this time by in tonight's race as well. Junior's going to get around Waltrip for 14th. Junior's past the 15 car with him getting up to speed still. Team orders are not working out right now for Dale Jr. to just sit behind his teammate Martin Truex Jr. Or I should say the other way around, where Truex is going to sit behind Dale Jr. Dale's a little too far behind to draft any of the 4 cars in that pack ahead of him. Ethan Elliott, welcome into the stream. You looked at him. I know Michael Turner got it first. Truex on the outside of the 8 of Dale Jr. Not going to get around him that time. Jr. holds clear off turn 2. If I swap to a car that has blown an engine, I mean, you can't, I don't think it lets you, well, obviously if they're out of the race. Are you talking like they blew an engine and came back into the race? I don't know if you can do that or not. We haven't had that opportunity to do so. I have swapped to him for the rest of the race because I blew an engine. I wrecked out in the Coke 600. That's the only DNF of the season for Dale Jr. And we ran with Mark Truex Jr. the rest of the race because Walter blew an engine before lap 20 earlier on. So we were trying to get Truex's first career win the rest of the race, but we were not able to do so. Actually finished 27th a few laps down. Now Dale's about 5 seconds off the race lead. You have an uncle named Bill Elliott? I don't think it's the same Bill. If Bill Elliott's your uncle, that means you're Chase Elliott's brother. If it is the exact Bill Elliott. The race car driver. Former NASCAR champion. Side by side between a couple of the Penske cars of Rusty Wallace and Ryan Newman up ahead. It's allowing Dale Jr. to close in on him a little bit more. Considering Truex is back at 39th on speed in the first 40 laps when we had that first field pass of the race today. And being up to 15th, we know he had the speed in his car to be able to be running where he's at right now. Another car blowing up. Tony Stewart is blowing an engine. One of the contenders for this race win today, and one of the drivers in the top 5 in the point standings has just blown an engine. Had a couple engine failures already today, but that's probably the biggest of them. Stewart has led the most laps in the race up to this point as well. His engine's expired, and you wonder how many of those other fast cars that have been leading a lot of laps, like Greg Biffle and Carl Edwards, if they're going to make it to the end of the race. Or any of the other Joe Gibbs cars, for that matter, of Bobby Labonte and Jason Leffler, are they going to make it to the end? Halfway in fuel, lap 122 to 123 for Dale Jr. He might be able to stretch 51 laps into this run. I don't see it happening. We've had just one yellow today. Let's see, Walls going to clear Ryan Newman. Oh boy, Newman was aggressively turning down in the middle of turns 1 and 2. Junior's going to clear both the Penske cars. He got a little sideways. Drove it in hot to try and... That was the definition of a slide job right there, and it worked out for Junior as he gained 2 spots out of it. He's picking up time in the draft. Labonte to the inside of Casey Kane. Dale Jr. going to follow Bobby Labonte in the 18 car. And Dale Jr. is back inside the top 10 for just the second time today, 4.4 seconds off the lead. Picking up a little bit more time. Drafting behind some of these cars. It's going to help him save a little bit of gas. Junior carried a lot of speed into turn 3. He got really tight. Got down to the bottom quickly. Newman made a pass on Casey Kane through 3 and 4. Junior lost a couple tenths of a second to the leaders that corner alone. I don't know why, Seth, but first of all, congratulations. Second of all, the last comment you put on there about your gonna be happy to be your husband. I thought you said that her husband is going to be happy at first, and I was like, wait a minute. Like, that doesn't sound right. Bill lives in California, not Georgia. Is there a Dawsonville, California that we don't know about? Derek, hopefully she recovers very quickly. Oh my goodness. I didn't even think that Dale Jr. was underneath Bobby Labonte quite like he was. Junior going to go up the track. He's going to try to let the 18 car go. Almost got the wall off turn 2. He was faster when he was drafting in line behind him. That's why he's letting the 18 car get in front of him real quick. It's the highest position Dale Jr.'s been in all day, 9th place. More long streams like last night, I can't usually do that. That was a once in a blue moon kind of situation last night. 7-hour plus stream. Because we were doing live commentary of the Cup Series race. For those in the chat wondering why I was streamed for 7 hours yesterday. And of course, for those of you that were keeping an eye on the Cup Series race, there was multiple weather delays throughout the course of the event. Junior's car is definitely a lot looser at this point in the run. Just desperately trying to stick behind the 18 of Bobby Labonte. Back to picking up a little bit of time again. Definitely pulling away from the cars back behind them. A little bit more, 200 miles an hour into turns 1 and 2. Lead group's definitely not that far ahead. 4.7 seconds off the lead. It was 4.4 before the contact between Labonte and Dale Jr. Definitely closing in on the next 2 cars, even ahead of these guys for position. Corner through turns 1 and 2 for Dale Jr. Just hoping Bobby Labonte doesn't get arrow loose with the 8 running this close in line behind him. Junior a little tight into 3 and 4 in the dirty air. The track he went. Got to the bottom underneath the 18 car. Not going to be able to make a pass. Labonte with a block in the tri-oval. Dale Jr. going to go right back to just drafting in line behind him again. Very calm race so far with just 1 caution to show for. It was a big wreck as far as severeness goes, and that was when Michael Waltrip flipped on the front stretch after being turned by his rival Jeff Green. in the 43 car. He got really loose into turn 3 that time. Junior desperately gets to the inside of Labonte. Contact off of turn 2. The 8 gets loose. Saves it way down at the bottom of the track. He's still fishtailing down towards the grass on the back straightaway, and that's going to cost Dale Jr. a lot of time. Back to 16th. Big save by Dale Jr. We stay green. That is not at all what he wanted to see. As high as 9th place in the running order prior to that contact. Knew Chase Elliott was going to win. Had a bet on another channel, won big bucks. There you go, congrats. I don't think Dale Jr.'s car is as fast as what it was earlier in the day either. He just doesn't have a lot of straightaway speed. They're going to have to put a little bit of the wedge right back into the car on the number 8. Just a half a round, maybe not that full round back in it. But the rear tire's very worn out right now on the 8 cars. They're in the yellow on the tire wear indicator. Dale Jr. to the inside of the 0-1 of Joe Nemechek. Makes contact. Couldn't get off of him. Nemechek's in the wall on the outside. Junior's car's just not stable enough to pass anymore at this point in the run. He has burnt the rear tires off the race car. About 1/8 of a tank of fuel left for Dale Earnhardt Jr. Trying to push it as far as he can to see if he can make it on one stop to the end of the race. Still don't think it's going to be possible unless we get one more caution. Depending on when that caution comes out, he might just pit anyway. I can go a little bit longer on fuel. I'm like barely touching the analog stick to get the car to turn in the middle of the corners. That's how loose it is right now. Overcorrected and wiggled right up into the wall on the outside. Some of the leaders will be hitting pit road this time. A couple more cars behind Dale Jr. closing in. Turns 1 and 2, Joe Nemechek and Michael Waltrip are those two drivers. Waltrip is going to cycle back to the lead here shortly again, considering how much longer he went on fuel compared to everybody else, unless he pits as soon as that window opens for himself, which is probably open as it is right now. More major adjustments going to have to be made, though, for Dale Earnhardt Jr. during this next pit stop if he's going to want a shot to win. In the wall off turn 2. Waltrip in the 15 is going to get around him. Jr.'s power sliding through the corner. He definitely can't wait to get 4 fresh tires back on this race car. So hard to not overcorrect, I should say. Easy to overcorrect. Junior's going to stay on one more lap to lap 146, and then he'll pit this time by 13 seconds off the lead now from Greg Biffle. We are still caution-free outside of Waltrip's flip today. Well, now Junior's in the wall on the outside. Oh, man, just got drilled by the 00 well after the fact. He was going to pit that time. Maybe stayed out a lap too long on those older tires and just could not help himself from getting turned around on his own, really. So caution is out. That's going to trap quite a few cars a lap down right now. Because I don't want to run out of fuel on the restart, I am going to pit for fuel. I'm only going to pit with a half a can. I'm still not going to take tires, and I'm just going to go a little bit longer. Before making another stop. Because I know for a fact that, well, boy, a little bit of a mistake on pit road there. Not everybody on pit road. Which is interesting. It's our second caution of the race today. Both DEI cars of Dale Jr. and Michael Waltrip have been involved in separate yellows. Dale Jr. still going to be on those older tires for this restart at the tail end of the field. Green flag is going to be back in the air. Going to stay out this time by, and then he's going to pit the following time by for 4 tires. Maybe. Edwards in the 99, going to move to the bottom. The green flag waved with 51 laps to go. Junior gonna try to pit. coming in regardless. Jeez Louise. 4 tires of fuel for Dale Earnhardt Jr. That was a lot harder than it needed to be. Gonna bump the air pressure up a little bit. Actually gonna bump it up quite a bit. 25 PSI. Gonna put a half around a wedge back into the race car. Major adjustments on the number 8. Very loose at the end of that run. And cutting through the grass to make it into the pits. 15.6 second stop. He's got a lot of time to make up. He is going to want a shot to win this one. And he is going to be a lap down after the cycling of pit stops right now as well. Well, it's not a penalty because I didn't miss the commitment line, which was towards the entrance of the pit wall. Martin Truex Jr. going to lead a lap for the first time today. 5 bonus points for him. I think Dale Jr. is going to be down on speed, though, with wrecking the car regardless of the fact of even having fresh tires right now. He hit the wall head on in turns 1 and 2 when he had spun earlier. Definitely went the wrong way with the adjustment changes. It was too tight at the beginning of the run, but it wasn't overly tight to the point where he couldn't handle the race car. And the adjustments they made it just a bit too loose for that third fuel stint of the race. They'll be good on fuel from now to the end. I'd like to see you guys make a normal pit entrance with the car I had. It was hard not to keep the car from sliding and fishtailing. Junior's hitting 194 miles an hour on corner entry into turns 1 and 2 that time. He's in the 34th place position currently. Again, 1 lap down, just waiting on the rest of the lead lap cars to hit pit road. Truex will be in from the lead this time. And Michael Waltrip will be back out in front. Flipping earlier in the race today. I missed the cone. Is there even a cone in these EA games? I don't know. I don't see a commitment line out there. I know nowadays I would have missed it, but I think the commitment line is just the pit wall in this game. I played by this game's rules. It's not by standards of the year 2022. Kind of like with the double yellow line rule. Even though that's a thing in this actual season, we don't use it though. Jr. is just slowly but surely closing in on the cars just in front of him. It's going to be tough for Dale Jr. just to get a top 20 performance today. He's only been as high in the running order as about 9th place. Gets to the inside of the 145, passes him, but I guess the 145 is on the lead lap. That was not a past 4 position for Dale Jr. Sits in line behind the 14 car now of John Andretti. Contact up the hill and into the wall goes Dale Jr. with contact. Jeremy Mayfield, and that's going to trap him a lap down. That's a big-time caution for Michael Waltrip. A couple of drivers in the top 5 in points having struggles today. Dale Jr. obviously in his second accident. First one damaged the car, probably cost him any sort of a shot to win, and now this accident, unfortunately, damages the car even more and traps him a lap down. Some of the field is going to stay out. Some of them are going to pit. I'm not sure if that's just everybody who hasn't pit yet is pitting now. Five seconds of damage for Dale Jr., and luckily he did not DNF. I don't even know how many cars he could pass for position from now to the end of the race. It's our third caution of the race. So Waltrip pit. Not sure how many cars will be on the lead lap. I guess we'll at least have a better judgment of how many cars are on the lead lap on the restart. Because all the lap cars will be on the inside of the lead lap cars. And there are definitely not many cars in the lead lap. I bet everybody that was just restarting in front of, or that hit pit road that time, were all the cars on the lead lap, and everybody else is a lap down right now. If I had to guess. Because there's an opportunity for Dale Jr. to at least maybe save the day as far as finish goes. Restart is with 38 laps to go. And Jr. wasn't tight before. He is tight now with the heavy hits. Contact off turn 4. Knocked him up into the wall. That was from the 9 of Casey Kane. Junior is extremely tight with the damage. Kyle Busch to the lead at the front of the field. Busch is a rookie trying to get his first career win here tonight at Michigan. May very well have a shot to do it. So a couple of the Hendrick cars of Kyle Busch and Jeff Gordon are up towards the front of the field right now. Junior got tight into turn 3 again. Somehow kept it off the 14 car of John Andretti. I'm not sure how, but he did. They'll clear him off turn 4 for 32nd. Junior just can't keep that car on the bottom right now. Brian Vickers to the lead, and now Waltrip's out in front. Ricky Rudd, Dale Jr. worked together to get around Scott Wimmer in the 22 car. There's a giant pack of traffic up ahead. And they are running 3 and 4 wide through turns 1 and 2 in the middle of the pack. They stacked up. Oh boy, there's a wreck. Oh my goodness, Dale Jr. couldn't get out of the way in time, and he just shot-putted the 21 of Ricky Rudd right into the back of the 50 car of Jimmy Spencer. And then they slammed in the grass the 21 and the 19 of Rudd and Mayfield. A few other cars down the grass. Of course, Spencer won. It looked like Joe Nemechek went for a spin. And that is going to bring out yet another caution today, our 4th of the race, and our 3rd in the second half of the race. Billy Carjoy, welcome into the stream. Ay, ay, ay. Concert at City Field. That'd be pretty cool. I've been to one concert in like a big venue stadium like that, and that was when I saw Metallica play at Comerica Park in Detroit, where the Detroit Tigers play. Hopefully sell a lot of tickets. Atmosphere will look pretty cool. This race is getting ugly for Dale Jr. I'm just shocked that Michael Waltrip has a shot to win this race despite flipping earlier on in the day. Green flag back in the air. 29 laps to go at Michigan. Dale Jr. can't take off well on the restarts anymore with the damage. Just kind of hoping for the best. I kind of figure when they were near wreck behind Dale Jr. with Elliott Sadler and I can tell who else that was. Terry Labonte in the 44, I believe, got together. Jr. actually took off fairly decent that time on the restart. Scott Wimmer's heavily side drafting the 8. Michael Waltrip trying to get his first win of the season is 3 wide for the lead. Oh no! Junior just blew a tire into the wall hard. Piece of debris ran over going into turns 1 and 2 and had no control of the race car after that. Jimmy Spencer's hood flew off and Dale Jr. ran it over on the inside line into 1 and 2. And clobbered the 22 of Wimmer on the outside of him. That's the second time Junior's ran over a piece of debris this year, but the first time was at Martinsville and was on the straightaway at much slower speed. And Junior's going to have to come in for 4 tires and fuel. Well, he can't pit for fuel because he was technically involved in the accident, but he's obviously going to have to change tires. That was right on corner entry, too. There's another big hit into the wall for the 8 car, and that is going to bring out yet another caution today, our 5th of the race. 4th in the late going. Cautions breeding cautions at Michigan after what was, for the most part, a calm day. And just over 50 laps to go, we're starting to see quite a few yellows. Keep stacking the field up for more restarts. No, I've heard of Bon Jovi. We were talking about that last night during the rain delay, that there was like 3 or 4 people in the chat last night that had no clue who Bon Jovi was. I was trying to explain to them who Bon Jovi was and how they didn't know them. Like, if you've ever been to a sporting event, they play Living on a Prayer like all the time. I'm sure you'd hear some of their songs like if you go into like Walmart late at night or something. How they have music playing. And flag back in the air. Well, now Scott Wimmer's upset with Dale Jr., even though Jr. blew a tire, and now there's a stack up on the restart in turns 1 and 2. Things are scrambling around. Jr. got around Wimmer on the restart. Luckily, doesn't have to worry about him. 19 car of Jeremy Mayfield towards the outside. Mayfield might try to take a swing at Dale Jr. Surprised he didn't there. Jr. blocking Schrader for position into turns 1 and 2, side by side with the 19 of Mayfield. 2 and 3 wide off the exit of turn 2 again up there, near contact between Travis Quaffle and Jeff Green. Jr. cannot clear the 19 of Mayfield. He's trying to stay as low as he can on the straightaways to stay away from him. Jr. with a block on Mayfield in the tri-oval. Heading towards turn 1, holding the bottom. Doesn't want the 19 to get underneath him. 3 wide, contact up high between Jimmy Spencer and Travis Quaffle. Big block by Nemechek in the tri-oval now. Three wide into turn 1 for Dale Jr. Underneath, John Andretti, Rusty Wallace. Off turn 2, looking underneath of Joe Nemechek at the 0-1. Jr. on fresher tires with having to pit, blowing a tire, running over Jimmy Spencer's debris, so that's probably why even with the damage he's gaining a little bit of time on this restart. They didn't DNF for that hit into the outside wall in turns 1 and 2. Trex is going to drop in line behind the 8 of Dale Jr., and that's going to move Dale up to 24th. And out of the inside of Nemechek into turns 1 and 2 as well. Contact with Nemechek. Big block, almost 4 wide off turn 4 if Junior didn't get down in front of Nemechek in time. Front row Joe still got a run, and Junior's trying to hold him off. Carl Edwards, who led quite a few laps in the early going to the race, trying to make some time up in the middle of the pack. Not sure who is all in the lead lap and who isn't at this point. Hey, with Joji, welcome to the stream. Yep, Junior went right up the hill. He just slammed Casey Kane into the wall. He was way out of the gas and still drifted upwards. Didn't help he was 3 wide middle either. Junior in the wall off turn 2. Jeff Gordon leads in the late going right now. Considering Dale Jr. is a lap down, there will be 17 laps to go at the start-finish line. Junior's car starting to get pretty tight in traffic. Tires already not really able to counteract the damage that's been endured on this 8 car today. Looked low, couldn't make the pass. Doesn't have any drafting help behind him right now. Everything's just in front of him, too. Looks to the inside of Martin in the 6. Martin had a big run on the backstretch, though. Junior got tight through 3 and 4 again. 3 wide in the tri-oval. Mid-pack. Has a 15 throw a yellow. Get back on the lead lap with the lucky dog if you're... Oh, jeez. Waltram's got a shot to win. I don't want to take him out of it. They're not going to field swap to him the rest of the race. A little late in the going right now. Marlin squeezing Dale Jr. through the tri-oval. 14 laps to go. We'll stack up in 1 and 2. I was going to say there's contact between Dale Jarrett and Joe Nemechek, I do believe. Jarrett goes a little bit wide off turn 2 because of it. Mark Martin shuffled out of line just a tad. 8 of Dale Jr. down low. Can't get to the inside with Martin there. This is tight. 3 wide. Off turn 4. In the middle is Dale Jr. Between Mark Martin and Jason Leffler. He's got to be able to clear Martin to the inside. And just gets underneath the 41 of Mears into 1 and 2 as well. Up to 18th. And you're looking for a top 15 potentially, depending on how many cars are on the lead lap. Three wide. Up ahead just inside the top 10 if those are all cars on the lead lap. Jimmy Johnson to the lead. 4 Hendrick Chevrolets are all towards the front of the field right now. Kyle Busch, Jeff Gordon, Jimmy Johnson, Brian Vickers. And both Vickers and Kyle Busch are trying to go for their first career win, although Vickers has fallen back a little bit further after the restart. So he's not too many cars in front of Dale Jr. Jr. makes a pass for 17th on Dale Jarrett into turns 3 and 4. Big time move. Jr.'s back inside the top 15. And looks to the inside of Kenseth. Kenseth throws a bad block off turn 4. It's going to stall the momentum out of the 8 car. And I think he's going to lose the draft of the cars in front of him because of it. Kenseth was on the lead lap too. That wasn't a position for Dale Jr. that he picked up. Deep dive into 3 and 4 for Dale Jr. Hangs on to it. Maybe get a little bit of help from the 88 of Dale Jarrett behind him. 10 laps to go at MIS. These Junior's fresher tires is allowing him to try to get back to this pack up ahead. We'll see if he has a shot to get a top 10, despite everything that has happened in the late going of today's race for him. Ryan Vickers in the 25. We know he is not on the same lap as Dale Jr. Yeah, Michael Waltrip dropped back just a little bit. Dale Jr. is going to try to catch up to him. Team orders with Waltrip losing a shot out on the win. This could hold some cars up and allow for Dale Jr. to pick up a few positions. To the bottom, 3 wide. That was an aggressive move by Earnhardt, but he held on to it. None of those passes were for position. They were all lapped down. Maybe Junior's in the free pass spot. Who knows? Coming to 7 laps to go, though. Running out of time. Caution comes out with less than 5 laps left. It could end the race. Jeff Gordon seems to be setting sail. Saw some sparks flying just up ahead. Right around the 5 car of Kyle Busch. Junior really tight, 3 and 4. He's in the wall. Oh, Labonte's in the wall now, too. Junior didn't lose a spot. I know Jarrett's for position. Definitely gutted out kind of performance today for Dale Jr. Only ran as high as 9th place. He's trying to hang on for a top 15 at the end at this point. He's got to be careful not to be too aggressive here. He can lose a spot to Jarrett. I don't think he's going to lose another spot beyond that. And I don't know that he can necessarily gain anymore. We know Busch isn't on the lead lap up ahead. I don't know if anybody that is still ahead. There's contact. Oh, Waltrip! Look out! Big wreck off turn 2. Dale Jr. saved it. Michael Waltrip unfortunately did not. They were 4 wide after the 15 and the 8 made contact. Ricky Rudd goes around. That's the second time Rudd's been involved in a spin. And we may have another restart, we may not. Regardless of the fact, Dale Jr. is going to have to pit. Being involved in the accident. And unfortunately, I think that means he's going to be losing a lot of positions here. I punished myself. I gotta stay consistent with my rules. Force myself to drive clean. I was wondering if something like that was going to happen before the end of the race, and sure enough, it did. I believe that is caution number 6. It's because I brought out the caution, Ace of Spades. I stayed true to myself. If I bring out a yellow or if I'm caused in it in any sort of way, I punish myself for not driving cleanly. So if I ever do try to pull off a bump and run, I better hope that they don't lose control of the race cars. Green flag back in the air. 2 laps to go on the restart. Junior back in the 33rd place position. Jeff Gordon leads, and he's going to have to survive one more at the front of the field. Junior did not deserve a good finish today, just with the wrecks he had been involved in. Jimmy Johnson just got to the lead on Gordon, on his teammate there for the lead on the restart. That wasn't your fault. I drove into the side of the car on the outside of me, and the Waltrip ended up getting into me underneath. So yeah, Waltrip turned me, but I had made contact stacking everybody up behind me, so I kind of initiated the contact there. Harvick, who has not led today. is challenging for the lead into turns 1 and 2. Getting to the inside of Jimmy Johnson. I don't know if he led that last lap at the start-finish line or not. The 8 getting a little arrow loose from the 38 behind him. Let's get a battle Wimmer to the end. Final lap, no cautions on the last lap of the race. Junior's going to slide up. Making the pass on Wimmer. Checkered flag in the air off turn 4. Kevin Harvick is going to win at Michigan. And Dale Jr. back in the 32nd place position. Mike Bliss finished in second out of nowhere. Jeff Gordon, who led, coming to the green-white checker with 2 to go, finishes in 4th. Johnson, who led coming to the white flag, finishes 5th. Must have got shuffled out of line. We'll take a look at the top 10. Harvick led just the last 2 laps of the race today. So I guess he did lead coming to the white flag. Not sure where he restarted, but he got to the lead and ended up winning it. Mr. Where Did He Come From wins again. Harvick is nicknamed the closer for a reason. Mike Bliss gets another top 5 this season. His 4th top 5 and 10th top 10. We'll have to check the standings after this race, see if he has moved inside the top 10 now. Craig Biffle finishes 30, led 72 laps today. That was actually the most. Tony Stewart was looking like he was going to lead the most, but he blew an engine earlier in the race, so Biffle ended up leading the most laps because he was in the lead when Stewart had actually blown an engine during that long green flag run in the middle of the race. Jeff Gordon led 24 laps, finished 4th, and Johnson led 5. Rounding out the top 5, I think that was Kyle Busch. Yeah, Kyle Busch finished in 6th place. Bobby Labonte finished in 7th. Boris Said finishes in 8th on an oval. How about that? Boris Said, what a great performance today. His first top 10 of the year. Ricky Rudd 9th. And Michael Waltrip, who flipped, still led 23 laps. He didn't have the speed late in the going, but he did end up finishing in the top 10 with a lot of cars finishing a lap down with a caution in the middle of green flag stops late with about 50 laps to go. So Waltrip was able to get a top 10 because of it. Got 5 bonus points along the way. Yeah, how about Boris Said getting a top 10 on an oval? Only 14 cars finished on the lead lap. Martin Truex Jr. led 4 laps, finished 21st. That was in the middle of green flag stops. And there's Dale Jr. finishing in 32nd. Sadler and everybody else from 34th on back finished 2 down of those who finished. And we had quite a few engine failures. No surprise with this being a fast 2-mile oval. Jeff Green, Jamie McMurray, Scott Riggs, Tony Stewart, Kyle Petty, and Kurt Busch all blew engines. Stewart led 59 laps today before blowing his engine at lap 120, just past the halfway mark in the race. So we are 15 races and 11 races still to go before the chase begins. Top 10 in the regular season standings at the end of the first 26 races will make the chase. And we have our first road course race coming up on the season for the Cup Series, and it'll be at the Infineon Raceway. 110 lapper, the same configuration you saw at Sonoma a couple weeks ago. We'll be racing that configuration. No clue how that's going to work. I only have had one race on NASCAR 06 so far on road course. It was a truck race at Old Spice Speedway. I actually dominated that race, so I'm hoping that the same will go for the Cup Series side of things, because we're going to need it after this rough finish today at Michigan for Dale Jr. He's going to lose 2 spots in the standings, falls from 4th to 6th. He's 247 points back from Carl Edwards, and Edwards has just over a 1-race lead in the standings on points over Jimmy Johnson. Edwards has finished in the top 10 all but 2 races this season, and he didn't even have a top 10 today. See how many points Dale Jr. is above the cutoff line right now. Not many. He's 247 out of first. He's definitely a lot closer to the cutoff line. And Mike Bliss, who just got his 10th top 10, is only 1 point behind Ryan Newman for the last spot to get into the chase. So Dale Jr. better be careful here with 11 races to go. He's been racking up a few bad finishes in recent races. Just to recap those bad races, obviously 32nd tonight for Dale Jr. He won at Pocono, but then finished 36th at Dover a couple laps down before that, and 41st with the DNF of the Coke 600 before that. So 3 finishes outside of the top 30 for Dale Jr. in the last 4 races. 1 DNF in that stretch. He's going to have to turn things around here pretty quickly. Because he is starting to fall off. He was leading in points just a few races ago, and now he's almost 2 full races of points out of first for the regular season championship. And not only that, but if he's going to want a shot at the title, he's going to have to make it to the chase. And right now he's sitting 121 points above the cutoff line, which, again, Mike Bliss has been running good. Kevin Harvick just won today. He's 12th in points. And that is also the first win of the season for Kevin Harvick in the 29 car, so he will be the 8th different winner in the first 15 races this year. Kyle Busch has had good runs this year, obviously just finished 6th tonight. He's 13th in the points. Truex is still 17th, and Waltrip gains 1 spot in points to 22nd. Hopefully get back to consistency. And then after Sonoma, I go to Daytona next after that. Which, as you guys are familiar with, for those of you that are familiar with the channel, it is going to be interesting. El Galloway, welcome to the stream. How long did I stream last night? It was a little over 7 hours total. Started the stream at 4:45 with our pre-race coverage and stayed through and through all the way through both delays. And the stream ended just after midnight Eastern Standard Time last night. So almost 7.5 hours. Maybe a little over 7.5 by the time we got done with the post-race. It was definitely a long one. I didn't feel as tired as I thought I would be, to be completely honest. I don't feel the effects of it today, which is good. Road courses is Boris said's forte. So basically he's got a shot, decent result. Yeah, he does at Infineon. Alrighty, that's going to wrap things up tonight. Like and subscribe for more daily NASCAR content. I'll have the weekly streaming schedule up on the channel in the community tab tonight. Again, I always post those every Monday. Didn't have it up on the channel before the start of this stream today, so you guys might not have known what time I was starting this one. But plan on tomorrow night being the Infineon race. We'll start things at 7:30 Eastern Standard Time tomorrow. So again, 7:30 Eastern Standard Time tomorrow. We will be racing the Dodge Save Mart 350. It should be an interesting one. Thanks everybody for watching, and I'll see you again tomorrow night.